Hi, my name is Jasmine Alvarez. I'm 17 and I'm a junior in high school.
My name is Hector Ramirez. I'm 15 years old and I'm a freshman.
Hi, I'm CJ. I'm 17 years old and I'm a junior in San Francisco High School.
PopUp Podcast. PopUp Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a special episode of PopUp Podcast. This episode was recorded at the Escondido Public Library and features teen volunteers CJ, Jasmine, and Hector. They work with Joanna to make the teen programming here fantastic.
So let's talk a little bit about the library, first of all. When and how did you guys first become involved with the library?
Jasmine told me about it, so she dragged me over here and I really liked it, so I came every time.
Excellent. And Jasmine, how did you find out about the library? What was going on at the library?
The way I found out was when you came to my AVID class to talk about the library and the opportunities you can give to us.
And had you guys come to the library before? Like, did you come here as kids? Did you use the library for homework resources or anything like that before I came to your school?
I had only come to check out books every once in a while, not really before you came to our class.
What about you, Hector?
I never really got interested in the library until I needed to learn how to read better because I used to struggle a lot in how to pronounce the words. After I got into reading, I started doing better and started to like to read. That's what got me into the library.
Nice. So you guys are maybe sort of the opposite of a typical teenager, right? At least the perception of a typical teenager, because you are engaged with the library and you come here voluntarily for the most part. What motivates you guys to be so involved?
Well, for me, I have always wanted to help out the library, but I never knew
How you can do that?
how I could do that until you came to our class, and ever since then I've been wanting to come every week. And I wanted to give back to the community, like, for example, the hospital, but I didn't know how until Crafty Cats came along.
Can you guys describe a little bit about the programs that you participate in at the library?
I participated in the Summer Reading Club and the Crafty Cats.
And what is Crafty Cats? For the listeners who don't know.
Crafty Cats is where you create things, I guess, and with those things you donate them or deliver them to, like, for example, the Humane Society. We made the toy mice for the kids there, and we made beanies for the hospital for the babies, the newborn babies.
Absolutely. How do you think the library could be more relevant to other teens? So if they're not as motivated as you, or, I come to their classrooms and what I'm telling them is just not jiving with what they want to do, what can the library do to be more relevant to other teens?
To make more programs so that the kids can come and experience the programs you made.
Mm-hmm. What kind of topics do you think other teens would be more interested in?
Like in music, about stories about people that would happen when their parents were game related.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, would be the workshop or area you told us about, where you can make
Makerspace.
Yeah, makerspace.
Oh, the
there you go.
expansion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To me, that would bring more teens because you can create things like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the library expansion. So the city council has said that the library needs to be bigger, right? Because the community is growing and we are just growing out of this space that we have here. If you guys could envision your perfect library, what would it look like? What would you change? These are high-level questions, I know.
I think people should just be able to know what's in the library, I didn't know exactly about Crafty Cats or the reading clubs until I came here. So I guess, just telling people about it is
more advertising.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about physically, about the space? We were talking about a maker space where you could have different cool technology and machines that teens or adults could use to create things. What else would you want in a new library?
somewhere to make music, because I've been dreaming ever since I was little. I've been listening to music, and I get it calms me down, because I'm always stressed at home. As soon as I get home, I'm always stressed. So I think a music place will be a better place, because I can come in and make music and relax, so I don't have to stress for other things.
Cool. What makes you so stressed out at home?
Like sometimes my mom and dad fight, and I don't like that, because I'm like reading, and then they fight when I'm reading, and I can hear what they're saying, and I feel like then later on I just feel really stressed out, because I lost my first dad when I was two. I don't remember. I think it was 2 to 3 years old, and I don't want to lose my other father again.
Mm-hmm. So a soundproof music room. I think that's a great idea. What else? What would you ladies like? Do you want more space for teen stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it the way it is already, so any expansions of the library would be awesome. So
What about eating? Is
yes,
it
food,
Yes.
go food.
Yeah. Go food, right? Exactly. I always think it's a little bit hypocritical when we sell food outside and we say you can't eat it inside.
Yeah.
So I would advocate that we allow people to eat inside the library.
The only problem is that people who don't think about the library would make a mess. That's the
Yeah.
only thing. Like, I'm like pro about it, but there's some people who don't think about it.
Yeah.
I think we should have a cafe or something like that.
Yeah,
where
that's
you
a good
can
idea.
Bring your books and sit down and read. And
Yeah, absolutely.
We should have some Starbucks.
You're right. A good partnership with Starbucks.
Yeah.
What about more sort of indoor-outdoor spaces? You know, like we live in gorgeous Southern California, and this current building is like a cave. You know, there's very little natural light. There's very few windows. And, I mean, would you guys like to be able to pick out a book and go and sit outside somewhere?
Yeah, like
but
have some
still sort of
benches
within,
and stuff, yeah.
within the library space. It's cool. What about a slide?
I'm all for it.
Yes.
Victor sent me an article about this library that has a slide in their children's department. I thought that's
That'd
so
be
cool,
fun.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that idea. Well, you can keep thinking about this. I know we sort of put you on the spot about it, but we're working with an architect firm that is actually drawing up designs for this new library building. It's going to take up basically the entire block between 2nd and 3rd on the Broadway side. So if you think about other things that you really want, I mean, nothing is out of the realm of possibility at this point. So let us know, because we will pass on the information.
I just want to make a music place where I can make music.
Excellent. We will let them know that's a priority.
What kind of music do you want to make?
Well, when I was growing up as a little kid, my dad would always listen to the old school rap,
Yeah.
and I always wanted to help people continue. Like, I wanted to work with Ice Cube or Dr. Dre.
Yeah. That's
That
great.
and also I like hip hop, pop, a little bit of rock. I'm not a big fan of country.
What about you, ladies? What kind of music do you like?
Anything and everything. Mostly rock though.
Yeah, I don't like country at all.
I think we can all agree
I
on
think,
that.
yeah, I think we can all agree
and
on that.
metal, I don't really like metal either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I hear country, it sounds. I don't like the way they sing it. They sound so country.
I like those sort of crossover, like, what's her name? The American Idol girl, the blonde, Carrie Underwood.
Oh, yeah.
She's sort of poppy,
Country,
country
yeah.
sort of crossover,
But
so I don't
the
mind
square
her.
dances are fun though.
I know, I do like to square dance. Excellent. All right. So how do you guys think, or what do you think of when you hear the word librarian? How do you think librarians view teens?
Librarians view teens?
Yeah. Like when you come in here. Yes, follow up.
Let's start with what do you think of when you hear the word librarian?
Well, before Joanna,
Yeah.
we were like the stereotypical librarian, the old lady who's cranky, and telling you to shh. So that's basically what we thought about a librarian. But then we met Joanna, and we can tell Joanna anything. We're just really comfortable with her, so.
For me,
It
all the
changed.
librarians I've been to, they're always cranky, because every time we talk, don't talk. It's a library. You gotta stay quiet. And then even for the smallest sound you make, she makes a big deal of it. So I thought when I heard the librarian, I thought it was like torture to us.
That's awesome. How do you think teens are perceived by other adults in the community? So not just librarians, but teachers, store owners, police, other authority figures.
Basically troublemakers, I guess.
Yeah. Have you guys ever had any personal interactions that were negative?
With the police, yeah.
Yeah, what happened?
I can't remember fully, but we were biking and he told us to pull over. He told us to go by Grand. So we went by Grand and he's like, "You guys don't want helmets, I have to give you a ticket." And then my brother, I think he's 18 right now. Well, he ripped a ticket and he didn't like the police because because he's the one that took our dad to jail. So he didn't really like the police, and anything that the police give him, he'll just rip it up and just throw in the trash, and he'll say, "I'm not paying for this," and then so the cop arrested him. And that's why he moved. He didn't go to the Valley. He moved to Vista.
Do you feel like you're sort of guilty by association? You know, like that specific cop arrested your dad, and now he's had negative interactions with your brother. Do you feel like he targets you more because you come from this family that he's had these negative interactions with?
For me, I just go with I live with. If I don't have the perfect family, I have to just live with it. I can't change it because then it will make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had the perfect family, but since my real dad left me, then my stepdad came in. He's been more like a father to me than my actual real dad because he's been there for me. He's raised me. My dad he's just been with his other family he has. And every time when I go over there with them every 2 weeks to spend the weekend, I actually don't like to go over there because all he does is drink and watch the soccer. And so I do nothing. Like, I always say I'm going to be outside in the street because that's when I'm usually are, when I'm with my mother. With my dad, I do nothing, just stay home. Listen to music. That's because when I'm there, music's the only thing that makes me calm down.
Mm-hmm. What about for you guys? Is this sort of like, I don't know what you're talking about? Like, you don't have any kind of interaction with other adults like this, right?
No, not really.
I mean, yeah. So what is your experience like? I mean, are they always like, oh, those are the good girls, those are the smart girls, those are the ones who are going to accomplish a lot of stuff?
Well, since I'm Asian, they think so that's basically what it is. They think I'm Asian. I don't do anything bad, but nobody would really suspect me of anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
And that's, I mean, it's a compliment that people think that you're really smart and you would never do anything bad, but it's a stereotype nonetheless, right? Well, let's talk about some happy stuff. What's been the happiest moment of your life up until this point?
I think before I moved here, because I moved here when I was 10. And so because I basically grew up here and matured here, I guess the innocence is lost, whereas when I was back in the Philippines, I was still 10 and under, and I was still outside playing, and I didn't have to be scared of anything, and like here where you know about the bad things that happen. So I think when you don't know anything that's happening, when you're innocent, you're happy all the time. Yeah. So
what was that like to make that transition from the Philippines to the States?
Well, the people are really different. There's blondes here.
Not that many, though, in Escondido.
It was really different because my mom, in the Philippines, we were free to just walk around anywhere, like around our neighborhood. Like when I was 8, I can walk around the mall by myself because there's security guards on the exits and entrances of the malls. But here, it's like my mom is always like paranoid that someone's gonna kidnap us or someone's gonna rob the house. But over there, I felt safer. Like I can go around the neighborhood to my friend's house and there's no problem. And over here, it's scary. I walked for the first time to the liquor store that's like 5 minutes away from my house, and cars would beep at me and one of them actually pulled over next to me and tried to talk to me. And I mean, like, for some people, I guess that's normal because they're allowed to go outside. But my mom doesn't let me go outside at all. And that was the first time I went outside. So that was really scary.
I don't think that's normal for cars to pull over and try to talk to you.
Hopefully not.
You know, it's interesting though, because some of the teens that we've talked to have been like, well, why do we need to explain what it's like to be a teen in Escondido? Because isn't that the same as being a teen anywhere else? Mm-hmm. But truly, it is not. Mm-hmm. You know, it is not the same to be a teen in Escondido as it is to be a teen in rural Arkansas, or to be a teen in the Philippines, or to be a teen in San Francisco. It's a totally different experience. And that's why we're trying to capture what it's like for you guys. It is scary to walk around here by yourself. I mean, we've had a lot of teens tell us stories about interacting with gangs in certain parts of town and how they avoid, you know, they take the long way home because they want to avoid walking through certain areas. And that's not how it was where I grew up, and that's not how it was where Victor grew up. So, you know, you guys are living in a different time and in a different place, and it's interesting to hear what you have to deal with.
When I moved here from LA, I thought this would be a better place than in LA because it was always ghetto, gangsters, a lot of drive-bys, and I thought over there, I will walk in the streets, but only to come to school in here. I will never go outside because it's always dangerous. Someone can just kidnap you and rape you. But then when I moved to Esco, well, first I lived in Vista for a little while, and then I moved to Escondido, and I thought this was safer because it was more nice people. The streets aren't bad. But then as I get older, I realized it's more gangsters. It's like getting more ghetto, like every day, and I feel like I'm like back in LA.
Well, compared to 8 years ago when I moved here from LA too, when I moved here there was barely any police cops, and to present day you see police cars in every other street you pass by. So to me, it has gotten worse here in Escondido.
Are you guys excited to get out?
To expand my horizons, yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave my family.
Yeah.
For me, I'm excited, but I just wish that Escondido was actually a nice city.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just that LA seemed worse to me, and I thought when I came here it's gonna be a lot better. But then it started becoming like LA.
It's like moving down towards here too.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything we can do to help make it better? I mean, you know, we've increased the number of cops that are here, and that doesn't seem to really be making any difference. What do you think? How do you take back the streets, so to speak?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure for that.
Yeah, I'm not either. I don't have an answer to that. It's a tough question. I mean, even our leaders don't have an answer to that.
Well, I think, like, the library.
CJ has an answer to that.
The library is very helpful, I think, because if you're surrounded by danger or drugs or whatever, if you go to the library, you're surrounded by people that care, who don't do stuff like that, you know? So if you're always around and surrounded by people or an area where you're safe, I guess that will keep you away from doing dangerous stuff or being pressured to do things instead of like hanging around other places that have bad people, I guess.
Yeah. So expand library services. That's the right answer. Go CJ.
And I also think, you know, that if we expand this library and it becomes more of a part of the local community here downtown, and with like the small businesses on Grand Avenue and stuff, we can get kind of more of a walking kind of situation here, where you don't have to be worried about walking around alone, because there's tons of people walking all over the place. So I think that'd be a positive thing as well.
Yeah, for sure. What about within your family? Do you guys feel pressure from your parents? Like, are any of you guys going to be the first to graduate from high school or college within your family?
Well, go ahead.
Well, for me, my real dad actually didn't go to school when he didn't even go to elementary. He started working when he was small. So, and then my mother, she went to elementary to high school, but in Mexico. And when she came here, she didn't have money to go to college, so she came here. and she went to adult school to speak English, and I feel like I actually want to graduate high school so I can show that I'm the first one in my family to graduate.
For me, I have an older half brother, but I never really grew up with him. He did graduate high school, but I don't even know if he applied to college because he went off to the military. And I'm pretty much the oldest one in my household family, so I would consider myself the first one in the family to graduate since both of my parents only have my mom has elementary school education. My dad only had till middle school, so I would be considered to be the first one. And my parents always told me that I have the mindset and capability to graduate and that I can do anything. And since my father passed away, I want to live up to his expectations, and so I guess I would have a little pressure, but I'm happy to complete it and make him proud.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you, for those of you who are Hispanic in this room, do you feel like there's still this sort of lingering gender inequality where women are expected to raise the kids and run the household, and the men are expected to either get an education or go out and work? I mean, do you see that amongst your family or your extended family or in the community? Or do you think in 2013 that's not really there anymore?
Well, my parents have never really been the typical Hispanic family. They have always wanted me to strive for my best, and they knew I could become somebody, so they always told me to that education was my primary goal, because they never had education. And my dad always told me to graduate, go to college, because he didn't want me to be struggling in a low-income job where where I barely sleep, just like him. Mm-hmm. So I would say yes.
Well, my mom and dad wanted me to go to college so I can have a better life than they did when they were smaller, because my mom grew in the city, but she didn't see her dad. Her dad died when she was 14 in a car accident, and that my dad he used to get in trouble a lot. He used to get in a bunch of fights, and so they always depend on me to be the model for my little sister, where she's a year and 5 months, and I want to show that it's not easy in life, but you can actually make it through life if you get a good education, get a good job, and support your family.
That's awesome.
But for in my case with my great-grandparents or my grandma, aunts and uncles, mostly the women, they're always asking what household activities I do. So there's a little if I don't do the same thing they did when they were young, they don't think it's fair. Mm-hmm. They think that I should be doing it by now. But I mean, I'm focused on education right now. I do what I can, but school is a handful right now.
Yeah.
Well, in my mom's case, they brought her here from Mexico when she was 3 years old. They had her back and forth, but when she was a teen around my age, she had the opportunity to go to a free private school and learn many languages, but my grandma said no, that you have to stay home, take care of your brothers and sisters, so she never had the opportunity to become what she wanted. She wanted to become police officer, one of those agents, but she didn't have the opportunity, so that's why she's okay with me focusing on education, which is her main goal for me. So
well, my mother she went all through high school, and she wanted to go to college. She wanted to make a good living so I would have a good life, but my grandma didn't have money, and she couldn't spend a little bit of money to help my mom go to college, so she didn't go to college. I wish she did, so that I can have so my life wouldn't be all complicated. And so I just wish if my mom did actually go to college, that I would imagine her when she actually did and what she'll be when she was up. She told me she wanted to be a doctor, and I could see it through her, because she liked to help the lot. When someone got hurt, she will help them. And I see my mom as a doctor, but I don't know why my grandma didn't support her when she needed to go to college. So that's why.
Yeah, it's definitely in the culture still, for sure.
Yeah.
What are you guys the most proud of so far in your life? Something that you've accomplished or...
That I accomplished middle school.
Yeah. It's tough. Yeah, a lot of people give up.
I thought if I didn't pass middle school, I wouldn't make it to high school. I thought it would just be like my father my stepdad when he was younger and when he used to go to Escondido High. I thought it would be like him when I was growing up. All game related and doing bad stuff and working double hours to support my family.
What about you guys?
What I'm proud of is that I took the step to apply to RELA, because before that I was slacking off, and this junior year I have become more involved in school. I have become more involved with my AVID class. I was the representative for my class, and I planned our junior trip. I helped plan, and I ran for AVID president, but unfortunately I didn't win. But I'm pretty happy that I took the step to become a better leader around school and with myself.
That's awesome. What about you, CJ?
Really can't think of anything. I mean, I have good grades, but that's
a
always
huge accomplishment.
that's always been like something that I do. Like, I always need to have good grades, so that's...
You should be proud of yourself for that, though.
I am,
That's a
but
huge accomplishment.
I mean, I wish I had better grades. I have good grades now, but I can do better, I guess.
Pressure. So much pressure on yourself.
But, like, a lot of people think it's because of my Asian parents, but first of all, like, I only live with my mom, so... And she doesn't pressure me at all, actually, because she thinks I'm responsible enough to know that I need to study. And education is really important. I mean, coming from the Philippines, where a lot of people can't go to school, and it's not free. There's no free public school, so education is really important for people to have, because it's not free over there and it's not open to everyone. So I really take advantage of the fact that it's free over here. But yeah, I mean, my mom she doesn't pressure me at all, because she knows I try my best. And yeah.
That's the same thing with my dad. My dad thinks I can actually make it in my life. And my dad doesn't pressure me. My mom pressures me a little, but she's always taking care of my little sister, so she doesn't pressure me that much. But I feel that I can actually go to college, become a music producer, and make something out of my life.
That's awesome.
I always hear my friends say, "Oh, it's hard. You can't do it. You got to start early. You got to take classes." And teachers like, "Oh, it's a hard job. You're not gonna make it." But I feel like I can actually make it, go to college, and become a music producer, and live my dream.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the first time I met you at the library. You were in here with your mom. So I think you have, a lot to thank her for getting you in the doors and then into my waiting arms.
She's been more like a dad to me, because she's always been there for me. She's raised me, only me. And before my sister came, she will always say that you're smart and I can actually do it. And I believe I'm smart.
Yeah.
And I can actually do it.
That's great. Has it been all three of you don't live with your dad, right?
Yeah.
Well, my father passed away 2010. Mm-hmm.
So has that been really hard to not grow up with your father in your life?
For me, yes, because he was the person I was the most closest to. So it was very hard for me to transition to just have a single parent, especially since my dad was the leader of the household. He brought the income in, and it was hard for my mom since he was everything to her and he was the leader, and for her to learn how to raise us on her own was difficult, so I had to become the second parent.
Yeah.
So especially when she fell into depression, the first couple of years was hard, so I was the second parent. So it's definitely hard. I'm still learning, and it's very hard for my little brother since he doesn't really express his grief. So it's hard since he's barely a 13-year-old and he won't be able to grow up with his father. So it's hard living with a household of two women.
Did he pass away unexpectedly?
very unexpectedly. He worked during midnight, and he went off to work, and he apparently he had like a heart attack and a stroke since he had cardiac issues, and he just passed away. Like, he lasted a week in the hospital, but his heart couldn't take it anymore, and he had like blood clots in his brain, and he couldn't see, so he just couldn't take it anymore, and just passed away.
Is that kind of why you weren't really motivated the first couple of years in high school?
Well, he was my motivation for education, for everything, and I just lost motivation during my first couple of years of high school, which I regret, but I just couldn't take it. It was very hard for me.
It's a lot to deal with as a young teenager, for sure.
Well, when my dad left my mom was the only one that went to high school. So I feel like when I went to school, I can actually depend on her because she's been to high school, middle school, elementary, and she can help me through the subjects I'm struggling with. And I feel like my dad, he's never been there for me because he's always been drinking. He says he's good at subjects, but I don't believe him because he's never went to school. And so I don't really look up to him. I look more up to my mom and my stepdad because he has education. He actually went to college. He works in a wood shop. He works until he works until night, and he comes at night. And I look up to him because he goes in the morning at 6 in the morning, and he comes back at around 8 or 7. And he doesn't make a lot of money, but he makes money for us to have food on our table. And so I depend on him because he's the only father I got.
Absolutely. What about you, CJ?
Well, my parents separated when I was around 5 because my dad is an alcoholic, and so we left. And I guess I never really grew up with them, and I only remember little things about him because he was always off because he's an engineer on ships. And he calls us sometimes, like a couple months, and he does like send money, but it's definitely not enough. But my mom doesn't depend on him. We don't depend on him at all. And that's basically why my mom is a big role model for me, because she has 4 kids and she's taking care of us, and she's not doing anything wrong at all. Sometimes it makes me sad that I don't know what it's really like to have a dad, but I think my mom is doing such a great job of being a parent that I can't really ask for anything more. So
That's awesome. I bet you guys had good Mother's Days a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
For these amazing women in your lives. That's awesome.
We've been going to Valley High School a lot, and I just wanted to hear about your perception of Valley High School. Like, what do you think of Valley High School?
before, just like a lot of people actually, I thought Valley High School students were slackers and they didn't care about their grades, and I just thought that was bad because I really care a lot about my grades and I don't understand why someone would slack off. And basically, I thought it wasn't a very good school, as a lot of people thought, but as I listened to the podcasts and what the kids had to say, it's interesting how they say that the teachers there care about their grades, they care about their lives, and it's more personal. Whereas, I mean, I think I go to a good school, San Pasqual, and a lot of people actually think that it's just for rich white kids and snobby kids, but it's not the same as what they were. I mean, there's a lot of teachers that care about your grades and care about you, but I don't think it's the same as what they were talking about in Valley. So that really changed, and those kids that I heard in the previous podcasts were inspiring because they went through a lot of stuff, and I haven't gone through half of the things they have, so I regret like the preconceived notions that I had before.
I thought Valley, when my brother was talking about it when he used to go to Orange Glen, I thought Valley was a bad school because I thought there was only gang members over there that didn't care about their life or education. And then when I went to OG, I hear comments from other people that go to SP or Escondido like, oh, that's a ghetto school. You're not gonna get education. You're not gonna make it through that school. But I feel that I can actually graduate from Orange Glen and make something and prove to the other people from SP or Escondido that you can make it through OG. And so I thought Valley was like a bad school. Like I thought only people went there to get more credits. But then when I went to summer school for 8th grade, there was one teacher from Valley, and I went there, and she said that it's not actually a bad school. That's a lot of 10th, 11th, and 12th graders come in and participate. Even if they don't have a ticket over there, you can just go and participate in just like a regular school.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
For me, I didn't really know about Valley High School until my friend opted to go there herself. Before sophomore year, before she left, she was down so many credits. She didn't try in school, never did her homework. She was failing almost every other class. And once she went to Valley, she improved greatly. She was more motivated. She's probably ahead in credits she's ahead of credits than me now. So, like, I think Valley's a pretty good school. Like, I've met a couple of her friends, and they're the nicest people ever. I went to the parade with them, and they were, like, they treated me so nicely, and I'm very glad she went to Valley because she's more motivated. She has plans to go to college now, so I'm very proud of her and very grateful for Valley.
Yeah,
So.
that's definitely a testament to the teachers there, that they can take somebody who's not motivated at all and failing and make them want to go to college.
Yeah, just like my freshman AVID teacher, he was a teacher at Valley before, and he was pretty much like an AVID dad to me. So the people from Valley are very great and inspiring people, caring too.
Yeah, for sure. If you had one piece of advice to leave to other younger teens, what would it be?
to get involved in activities in the library or in school so they don't end up like me when I was growing up. I just want them to have a better life and a better education, and also to follow their dreams.
Don't give up primarily. Don't lose hope. Keep going. The next day will be much better and brighter.
Just live your life the way you think you should. As in, like, if you can be anything in the world, or if you can change anything, just live your life that way. I mean, if you want to be a leader, then be that person. Don't knock yourself down with anything. Don't let other people's opinions and thoughts bring you down, because the ones that love you and you are the only ones that are gonna help you up and matter pretty much in the end. So
thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk to us. You are all amazing young people, and I know that the future is bright because you are leaders and you're amazing. And I'm glad that you participate in my programs. You make me proud. Cool. Done?
cool.
Done and done.
Pop, pop, pop.